In your entire grand jury testimony, you never said, my client said the words, I hit him, did you?
Again, it's 227 pages. There are certain things I will never forget, Mr. Jackson.
Including the fact that you never, ever said, she said the words, I hit him, to a grand jury when you were asked about it 3 months after this. Right?
She said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Key witness Jennifer McCabe returns to the stand this morning in Karen Reed's retrial. So can we expect some more combative cross from attorney Alan Jackson? Plus, the jury has seen multiple video clips of defendant Karen Reed, but when will her voicemails to Officer John O'Keefe come into play? Also this hour, Sherri Papini's breaking her silence nearly 10 years after her infamous kidnapping hoax. The convicted liar is taking a lie detector test in a brand new docuseries. And tributes are pouring in for the Kansas City paramedic who was stabbed to death in the back of an ambulance. We're remembering Graham Hoffman this morning. It's all coming up next for you right here on Opening Statements. Good Friday morning to you. Welcome to Opening Statements. I'm Julie Grant. Are you ready for some coffee and some court? We got a tremendous show planned, so let's get started. Grab your cup of coffee. It's time for my opening statement. Pants on fire, Sherri Papini. As if you haven't already caused your loving family enough grief and forced law enforcement to waste enough hours, now you want everyone to believe again that you were kidnapped. Let's back the truck up a bit, shall we? This lady selfishly traumatized her children and her husband by faking her own kidnapping so that she could go shack up with her old boyfriend. People believed her and sympathized with her when she faked being a victim. But quickly, the feds found her out, that she faked the whole thing. And Sherri Papini admitted to her hoax at her federal sentencing. But now, in a new documentary set to air on Investigation Discovery, she's reportedly going back to her first story. It's called Sherri Papini Caught in the Lie. It's going to be released later this month. And gee, I wonder why she's changing her story again. Could it be for money? Could it be for attention? I think she likes both. Perhaps she should seek a mental health evaluation instead and comply with any recommended treatment. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it breaks my heart when I think about what this ever-changing story is doing to her innocent family. Sherri Papini needs to go have a seat. In fact, she should go have several seats. Enough with a litany of lies. It's time to stop being selfish and start putting your family first. That's my opening statement. Let me know if you like it. Right now, it's time for your daily docket.
The actions of these officers were awful, and no one, including law enforcement, is above the law.
He was a human pinata for those police officers.
You have to ask yourself, what warrants this? How could a man or woman see somebody looking like this and continue to assault them?
In Tennessee, the state's case continues today for the 3 former officers accused in the fatal beating of Tyree Nichols. Court's going to start up in that one at 10 a.m. Eastern time. In Florida, we got some big news overnight. Mama Donna Adelson's trial is officially delayed. Thursday, the judge granted her defense's request to continue the case. The trial originally set for June the 3rd. The judge has yet to set a new date, so we'll keep you posted as soon as we get that. And in Massachusetts, we've got defendant Karen Reed's retrial continuing. She's accused of causing the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. They're going to start up at 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll go there together when it does, and that is our top story. As a witness, Jennifer McCabe returns to the stand for more cross-examination. She faced long hours of questioning by defense attorney Alan Jackson this week, mainly centering around defendant Karen Reed's statement, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
In your entire grand jury testimony, you never said, my client said the words, "I hit him," did you?
Again, it's 227 pages.
Was it important to you, before you testified, to tell these jurors, under oath, that my client said, "I hit him," 3 times?
As a juror, as a witness, it's important to tell the truth and to answer the question you were asked.
Alan Jackson told the court he's got about 2 hours left of his cross-examination. So what can we expect today? And how do you think Jennifer McCabe is doing as a witness? Let's welcome in our guests. I'm so pleased to have back on the program the hosts of the Murder Sheet podcast, Kevin Greenlee and Anya Kane. And want to welcome in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno as well. Good morning to you all. Let's start with how you think Jennifer McCabe is faring as a witness. Anya, will you start us off, please?
I think Jen McCabe is faring very well as a witness. She comes across as a sort of poised, polished, but very sincere suburban mom, which was what she is. I mean, if the defense was hoping that Jen McCabe would come across as some sort of sinister villainess of this whole piece, I think they must be sweating right now, because I think she's coming across well. And I imagine the jury is somewhat baffled at the 3rd degree she's receiving from Alan Jackson.
That's a really good point. Kevin, let me ask you about that too. Being an attorney, you know how on cross, a good technique is kind of mirroring your witness. If you don't have somebody combative, it's really not a need to be combative. But if somebody is uncooperative, you got to own them. How do you think Jackson is doing this time around with Jennifer McCabe's temperament?
I don't think he's doing that great. He's really being super aggressive to an extent that's baffling. And some of the things he's really seeming to focus on, like the statement about, I hit him, those are things that Karen Reed herself has indicated she said in her interviews in documentaries. So it's a little bit baffling as to why he's being so aggressive, and it's kind of a risky strategy on his part.
That's a really great point, Kevin. Thank you for that reminder. Karen Reed admitted it herself to saying that. She's admitted it. She's talked about it in the documentary interviews. She talked about punctuation around it. But we know Jennifer McCabe isn't the only one who heard it. David Bruno, will you indulge me here? I want you to kind of go into professor mode. I think you would make a great professor someday. And so kind of help me out here. When you're a prosecutor and you're presenting to a grand jury, help all of us understand, is the goal to get out of every witness every single thing that they know, or is it a more specific goal that you have in a grand jury presentment?
Yeah, that grand jury presentation is a much lower threshold than it is at the trial with the jury. So oftentimes they just bring in hearsay. I mean, a grand jury presentation only really requires the investigator, the lead investigator, to testify to all of the information that was uncovered during the investigation. So certainly when a witness is called, you do want to be thorough, especially on the most important parts. That where I would fall in here. I mean, this is a very, very important admission that they are relying on here, because she is with her during the search. She's with her when she finds the body, and she is attributing a statement that could be inferred to be an admission. So if I were the prosecutor, I would have presented it, but at the same time, due to the difference in procedure and the lower standard, prosecutors will be arguing it wasn't necessary at the time.
Exactly, David, exactly. Because the point is, you want to just, like you said, this is a low burden. This is just a probable cause standard, is the best way to think about it. You want to just put in just enough information to get the case up to the big court of common pleas and out of the magistrate court level and move forward. And then that's when you put in the robust testimony at trial. So thank you for that. Let's go and look at a clip together. This is where Jennifer McCabe is on cross, and we have Alan Jackson trying to ask her if she spoke to Hank Brennan about her testimony. Here we go.
Was there any discussion about crafting your testimony in any way to suggest a softer approach?
No.
Did Mr. Brennan take you through a series of questions, for instance, as almost a test run of questions that you might be asked either on direct examination or cross-examination?
No.
Were there any sessions where you sat and was subjected to a cross-examination, like a fake cross-examination or a fake direct examination?
No, there
Anything
wasn't.
like that?
No.
And that would have been okay if she had been. Kevin Greenlee, will you help me out with this point, tapping into your experience as an attorney? I think it's important for everyone to know that witness preparation is not only allowable, it's essential, it's encouraged. Defense attorneys can be ineffective if they don't prep their witnesses, and it's something prosecutors have to do. And I have to hand it to Alan Jackson. He's very good, he's very skilled, he's making it seem like there's something nefarious, and Jennifer McCabe talking to Hank Brennan when it would be a problem if she didn't, isn't it? What do you think about that? What do you think that the average person might be taking away from this? And what would you like our audience to know, Kevin?
I think they're trying to make it sound like preparation is sinister, like they've concocted some fake testimony or whatever. But as you correctly point out, it is absolutely essential. Most people go through life, they don't have the experience of getting on the stand and being questioned and being cross-examined aggressively. And that can be very terrifying to a person. And so it's really, in my view, quite crucial to have that person sit down and get an idea of what to expect and get some sort of preparation. There's nothing sinister about it. It is completely normal.
Thank you for that. It's what you need to do. And same with reviewing past testimony. Again, absolutely proper, allowed under the rules. It's encouraged. Gosh, so here we have Alan Jackson kind of coming at her hard, and she's really holding up very well. Anya, in terms of the story that the Commonwealth is trying to convey to the jury about what they believe Karen Read did versus the story the defense is trying to put up to try to defend her for what she's accused of. How are you seeing the stories at this point in time?
Yeah, I think you actually summed up the story just now when you talked about presenting something pretty normal as incredibly nefarious and suspicious, and sort of asking us all to sort of suspend our sense of realism in order to buy that essentially everyone except Karen Read, including people like first responders and people like Jen McCabe, who basically Karen Read woke out of bed in the early morning to come help her deal with this situation, are part of some mass conspiracy to frame Karen Read, which again, like, why is Karen Read the one waking Jen McCabe up in the middle of the night? Like, how is this exactly coming together? It doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. But I also understand the allure of a conspiracy theory. I understand that people in some ways like it when things are more twisty and more complicated. So I can definitely understand why Karen Read's presentation of what the defense is claiming happened sort of carried some jurors in the first trial. But frankly, I mean, I don't find it compelling. I think it's one thing to argue the state's not meeting its burden to, say that she murdered John or that she hit John or whatnot. But it's another thing to expect us to sort of suspend our disbelief and believe that Jen McCabe is the head of some shadowy conspiracy against this woman. I just think that's stupid.
Right. You're right, Anya. I couldn't agree more. Quite frankly, it's absurd. It's absurd. It's not specific. To use Hank Brennan's words, it's baseless. We never, ever saw the evidence of it in the first trial. We didn't. We heard a lot of talk about it. It's a great story, but where's the evidence? We do have microscopic pieces of her tail light embedded in his clothing. David Bruno, how do you think the Commonwealth is doing, acknowledging that they've got the burden? Karen Read's cloaked in the presumption of innocence. It all lies on them. How do you think they're faring so far?
Well, improved. I'll say that. I mean, Hank Brennan brings a different dynamic to this presentation. And even with Jennifer McCabe, she is much more calm. She's delivering eye contact to the jury versus the feisty, fiery demeanor that she had in the first trial. I think already that is one of the big improvements from the case. And Jennifer McCabe is critical for the state's witness, that she could be relied on as a credible witness, not only because of the omission in the grand jury, but also the Google search, which is really one of the crux arguments of the defense about this Google search allegedly being done before the body was found, which would be indicia of a conspiracy if believed. Now, prosecutors, second time around, they're going to be ready on that, just like the improvement of the demeanor, and they will be arguing that it was the tab that was open in the Google search, not that it was the actual time of the Google search. And all of that relies on credibility of Jennifer McCabe, and her improvement in demeanor is an improvement for the state's case.
Yes, a lot of improvement, definitely. And the witnesses should be improved, right? I mean, everyone should be. They got a practice round. They had round one. It would be a problem if they were all worse on the stand. Certainly, we've got to leave it there for now. We'll continue the conversation. My friends at home, be sure to check out the Murder Sheet podcast. It is awesome. Anya and Kevin, I know we need to let you go. Have a wonderful day and weekend. We'll see you soon. David's coming with us and want you to do the same at home, please. When we come back, here's what's coming up.
Lying to me is a crime. So you walk out this door telling lies, and that's a crime.
I think we need my lawyer. This isn't making any sense.
Remember convicted liar Sherri Papini? Well, now she's back after 9 years. She's in a brand new docuseries, and she's taking a lie detector test, she says, to prove that she actually was kidnapped. Okay. And we're being a voice for victims this morning. Kansas City paramedic Graham Hoffman stabbed to death in the back of his ambulance, allegedly by his patient. Stay with us.
Is Karen Reed a killer girlfriend?
She's guilty.
Or the scapegoat in an elaborate cover-up?
Karen Reed was framed!
Karen Reed is accused of murdering her police officer boyfriend.
Defendant stated repeatedly, I hit him, I hit him.
She may end up taking the stand. Her first trial ended with a hung jury.
They haven't proven anything.
Will a jury finally agree on a verdict? We know who did it.
The Karen Reed murder retrial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
That's not what happened. What did happen, Sherri?
I don't know. No, there's no way. It's James. There's no way. There's no way.
The DNA doesn't lie. His DNA was on you.
There's no way.
So that was a moment that investigators really pulled back the curtain on Sherri Papini's kidnapping scheme. Well, Papini's case is what's trending in true crime again this morning, as she's now breaking her silence in a brand new docuseries airing on Investigation Discovery.
So tell me why we should believe you now.
I'm willing to do whatever it takes.
This is the moment that changed everything.
Were you free to leave at any time without fear of violence?
If this is all true, then this is the desperate cries of somebody saying, I need to be heard.
I'm Sherri Papini. I was abducted and I was tortured, and the FBI said I made it all up.
Yes, Sherri Papini takes the lie detector test as part of this 4-part series set to focus on her infamous disappearance and return to her family, which eventually led to her 2022 arrest by federal authorities. Sherri Papini, Caught in the Lie, airs later this month, again on Investigation Discovery. And this morning, we're asking our power panel, will the lie detector test redeem Sherri Papini? Let's talk about it. I have still with me attorney David Bruno. I want to welcome in now attorney Joe Tamburino and criminology expert Dr. Debbie Goodman. Good morning to you all. Joe Tamburino, what do you think about this?
No, I don't think it's going to help at all. And thanks for having me on, Julie. First, I'd like to know who's doing this lie detector test, because I can tell you there's so many operations out there. You want to get a client to pass a lie detector test, there's places you can go to get them to pass. So I want to know who's doing it. But you can't get over the hurdle that she pled guilty. She was sentenced. She served, I think, 11 actual months in prison. At the time of her plea, she was placed under oath. She had an attorney. I mean, it's hard to get over that hurdle.
Right. You're so right, Joe. And I love what you said about the lie detector test and companies that can help you pass them. And there's a reason they're not admissible in court, right? Dr. Debbie Goodman, to you next. What do you think of this?
Oh, I think it's nonsense, Julie, and your introduction was spot on. This is just a litany of lies, and I think this individual is indeed a pathological liar. And when we look at pathology, these people can convince themselves of the narrative that they themselves decide to believe, and then they feel they can convince others. So the way I see it is, if some way, somehow, she is to pass the lie detector test, that would just reinforce in my mind that she's a pathological liar. And if she doesn't pass, then that's what's expected. But you were spot on, Julie, in the intro. I think this is a money grab, an attention grab, and she again wants to be in the spotlight.
Thank you so much, my friend. Yes, I'm in agreement with you. Pathological liar, that's for sure. David Bruno, what do you think about this? Sherri Papini, is this lie detector test actually going to redeem her in the court of public opinion?
Well, I don't think it's going to redeem her, but I am an advocate of the polygraph examination as a tool, an investigative tool, both for the state and for law enforcement. The FBI uses the lie detector test as well, but like the prior guests say, like the fact that she pled guilty, she went into court under oath, raised her hand, went through a number of documents and gave a factual basis that she deceived and lied. I think that takes precedent over the admissibility of the lie detector or the reliability of the lie detector. So that's not going to get her here. This is a money grab. This is an effort to make money, and this is getting eyeballs, obviously, because of the case again, and that's probably why she's doing it.
Right. Great points from you all. We'll leave it there for now. Definitely going to watch this series. Really enjoyed the investigation, discovery always. All right, so let's turn to another trending story. Let's talk about our friend Bryan Kohberger now. So after a judge has refused to take the death penalty off the table, we have some more interesting things happening. So Thursday, the Honorable Stephen Hippler ruled that prosecutors can continue pursuing capital punishment for Kohberger if they're able to convict him of what they've accused him of. And that's the murders of those 4 University of Idaho students. Now, this comes after his attorneys made some claims that his right to due process was being violated because of case discovery. So Judge Hippler had this to say in his order on the defendant's motion to strike the death penalty. He said, quote, defendant's complaints of being unable to meaningfully review the discovery ring hollow. He goes on to say, quote, lead counsel indicated that her practice is to personally review all the discovery herself rather than rely on associates to cut through the less relevant information. Well, these actions are not indicative of an overburdened defense team. So on the heels of the recent ruling, we're asking, how would you grade Kohberger's defense team so far? It's an interesting question. They've been very aggressive. They've raised a lot of issues. Dr. Debbie Goodman, you've largely been kind of our unofficial expert on the program on everything Bryan Kohberger. What do you think about everything his defense team has been doing to try to protect him through this process?
Thank you. I'd have to give them an F, Julie. And normally I don't do that grade even in class
I didn't
because I have
expect
such
that,
great
Dr. Debbie.
students.
Okay,
well,
tell us
truly,
why.
you know why? Yes, please, because here we are 2.5 years in, and why didn't we hear, Julie, anything about autism at the onset, and why didn't we hear anything about this long drive to nowhere? So I think it's just a pulling at the straws. There's really nothing substantial here. And I'm not even sure, Julie, that I believe that this individual has autism. I think he's got psychopathy. I really think he's a psychopath. And as far as what the prosecution has presented, I'd give them an A.
Oh, all right, Dr. Debbie, I love it. There's strong opinions. This is fantastic. And the psychopathy, we need to hear more about that. Let's get some grades from our other guests. Joe Tamburino, let's start with the defense. How would you grade them?
Well, I'm going to disagree with Dr. Debbie. I actually would give them an A, and here's why. These are public defenders who are doing everything they can to defend this guy. I mean everything. Now, I don't agree with some of the things that they've done. However, they have left no stone unturned. Anytime they object to something, they could object to something, they object. They have gone through everything for somebody who, and the evidence is pretty strong, is accused of killing 4 individuals. And of course he's going to be facing the death penalty. If you don't get the death penalty for killing 4 people, when would you get it? But I got to hand it to the public defenders here. I mean, they're doing everything they can for an extremely unsympathetic, unlikable defendant. So I would give them an A.
Appreciate it, Joe. And the prosecutors, quickly, what kind of grade would you give them on this one?
Oh, I'd give them an A also. They're doing a very good job. Now, this is thus far. Let's see what happens at trial. Let's see which side are better trial attorneys.
Sure, sure. Thank you for that. Okay, David Bruno, we've got different grades on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Where are you going to fall, please, for the defense first?
Yeah, I'm with Joe. I'm with Joe because, look, they've done everything. They're filing the motions. They're attacking the DNA. They have a tough job. I mean, we have done a number of different segments on this, including the Amazon search, the purchase of the knife and the covering that was found with his DNA under one of the bodies. I mean, they have, the defense has a very difficult job here. So they've been filing the motions. They've been in court making the right arguments. Obviously, challenging the death penalty has got to be very important because of the ultimate consequence that it has. So I think they're doing a good job, for sure.
Appreciate it. And quickly, the prosecution, quick grade for them.
They're doing great. I mean, obviously, everything that we're learning, especially the Amazon search, we did an episode with the knife sheath and the way that looks. And, if they could prove that he bought that with the mask and his DNA is on the knife sheath, it is game over for Bryan Kohberger.
Yeah, well said. Dr. Debbie, I got to end with a question for you on psychopathy. Quickly tell us, what is it about Kohberger that makes you think that that's what's going on with him and not autism spectrum disorder?
Yes, just somebody, Julie, very grandiose, very narcissistic, manipulative, knows what one is doing, knows what one is doing is wrong, and yet proceeds anyway because of that heightened sense of self and thinking that they'll get away with it. So I think he's a psychopath.
Dr. Debbie Gibbon, I want you to write a book on this case. I really do. I'll write the foreword for you. Well, listen, we got to leave it there for now on Bryan Kohberger. But of course, any more developments, we'll report them here. Dr. Debbie, thank you so much. I believe we've got to say goodbye to you. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you back on soon. And Joe Tamburino and David Bruno are coming with us. Please do the same at home. Up next.
Graham was a vibrant individual who loved life and loved serving his community. He was an excellent paramedic who treated his patients with the highest level of skill and compassion.
Oh, this case is so awful. Have you heard about this? Tributes are pouring in after the fatal stabbing of this Kansas City paramedic. His name is Graham Hoffman. We're remembering him this morning. And defendant Karen Reed's voicemails to victim John O'Keefe are looming in the retrial. We're wondering if we'll hear them this morning. This morning, as we give a voice to victims, we're remembering Kansas City paramedic Graham Hoffman on the day of his funeral. And we're also trying to understand how he could be stabbed in the back of his ambulance, allegedly by a patient. Here's the suspect, 38-year-old Shanetta Bossell. She's charged with first-degree murder. And according to police, this isn't the first time that she's attacked a first responder. But before we get to that, reporter Charlie Keegan from Scripps News Kansas City has more on how Hoffman is being remembered.
One of the best.
Graham Hoffman's smile stands out right away. Friends tell me he could balance being goofy and serious. His serious side helped him come across as a leader at KCFD's Station 42. One battalion chief called him the epitome of a firefighter.
People who love this job, love helping the community. You feel like this is what you were born for.
Hoffman started his career in Belton. The department shared these photos in a post, calling Hoffman a genuine soul who was kind, soft-spoken, and witty. He brought those traits to KCFD.
Graham was a vibrant individual who loved life and loved serving his community. He was an excellent paramedic who treated his patients with the highest level of skill and compassion.
Outside of work, Hoffman loved to travel. At work, leaders say Hoffman's the person you'd want at your emergency, a person who will be honored for his dedication to serving.
I've talked to too many moms, talked to too many partners, talked to too many dads, and did that again today. And they have and had a bright, exceptional young man who should be going out on another shift, and it's tragic that he won't be.
May Graham Hoffman be resting in peace, and may his family be comforted knowing he contributed so much to this world in the 29 years that he was here. Let's talk about this some more. Let's talk about what happened on that day, and let's talk about this suspect who's accused of murdering him. I want to bring in criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno. David, I want to show you the charges against this woman. In addition to first-degree murder, she also, according to police, tried to steal the ambulance after the stabbing, got into the driver's seat and tried to get away with the ambulance. So we've got the attempted theft of the automobile, and we've also got an assault on a police officer, because when an officer tried to arrest her, they say she bit that officer. Now, backing up a little bit, back just a couple days before this incident, she was arrested for biting another police officer. So she had a felony assault. This was on, I believe, April 23rd, if my memory serves me correctly, and the judge gave her a $10,000 bond. She bonded out, and then just a couple days later, 3 days later, this incident occurs, where we have another biting, allegedly, and in a killing, the stabbing of Graham Hoffman. David, a lot of people wondering, how in the world does somebody have a felony assault on an officer charge pending and get such a low bond? Your thoughts on what happened at that magistrate court?
Look, this is part of the conversation, is this criminal justice process. And a lot of states, including New Jersey, where I practice in, have gotten away from monetary bail and focusing on risk assessments. And oftentimes we don't want to be holding people just because they can't make bail. But you bring up a great question. And certainly because of what happened after her release, she continued her crime activity. And not only that, killed a first responder. And I agree, too, with the package in the sense that this is a hero that was killed here. And a lot of people are running away from these types of emergencies when our first responders, our police, our firefighters, our EMTs and EMS paramedics are running and going to the emergencies. And any person that goes on like a shift like this, their purpose, their goal, hopefully they are going home. You know, I was a former prosecutor in the law enforcement community. The key is go home. And the same is for our EMTs and firefighters. And this could have been prevented. You know, it's very, very difficult to prevent things like this. But again, the conversation about release and detention needs to continue to protect our public.
It sure does. You hit on something so key. I knew you would, David Bruno, and that is, you said risk assessment, right? And so going back to the magistrate judge and everyone who was in that room, you know, the prosecutor, you know, presumably, you know, defense attorney. So we have a woman coming up, and you see on the rap sheet, no previous felonies, but you see recently there's the pending charge of the felony assault, and it's biting of a police officer. Right there, if I was that magistrate judge, I would say she needs a mental health evaluation immediately. Anybody who's biting, have her evaluated. David, what troubles me is that there probably wasn't even time for an eval with a bond so low, right? Like, I can't even imagine in those couple of days, because then it was the weekend. This happened like at the end of last week and then up toward the front of this week, or the days in between. That's what really gets me, is that with a bond that low, like, I can't imagine a doctor got to her and that she was ordered to comply with any treatment. I'd love your thoughts on that in terms of the importance of it in assessing the risk of someone like Shanetta Bossell.
Yeah, so if a psychological evaluation is ordered by the court, it's going to be a condition of the release. It's not going to be that it has to happen after, obviously, because when these concerns are brought to the court's attention, they're going to want to make sure that the safety of the public is protected. Generally speaking, when the judges, prosecutors, they're evaluating release, it's really of three things. Number one, are they a risk to leave, to not come back? Are they a flight risk? Number one. Number two, is there a risk to destroy evidence? And number three, is there a risk to the public? And the lack of history, Julie, while I do understand that the biting is troubling conduct, the lack of criminal history was very important, I'd imagine, for the court and the release, because it was a first-time offender. And that happens, too, when first-time offenders come before the court. They should get some benefits to that as well. And I think probably everybody was looking at that as one of the primary reasons for release.
Sure. Excellent analysis. David Bruno, thank you so much. And as we go to break, we want to remember 29-year-old Graham Hoffman, that firefighter and paramedic who was so dedicated to serving the people in the city that he loved so much. He was working overtime on the day that he was murdered. Gone far too soon, and his legacy will live on. We'll be right back.
How do you explain it? Two teenagers, they go from zero to the worst crime anyone can imagine.
She wanted to get her mom out of her life, to kill her.
You turned to murder.
Yes.
You are a shrewd operator.
I'm done with this interview. You're trying to make me seem like I'm a monster, and I'm not. Let me out.
Interview with a Killer. New episode, Sunday at 8 on Court TV.
Let's talk about what's tipping the scales. Could it all come down to defendant Karen Reed's voicemails? Her retrial is going to resume in just a couple of minutes with one of the most key witnesses for the Commonwealth, John O'Keefe's dear friend, Jennifer McCabe. But after she finishes her testimony, we don't know who's coming next or what is coming next. We know Hank Brennan has liked to weave in clips of Karen Reed's own words so brilliantly in between witnesses. So maybe the voicemails could be next. Let's take a listen to some of what she said to Officer John O'Keefe.
John, I'm telling you, kid. Nobody knows what the you want. Her. Yes, 1 in the morning, I'm with your niece and nephew. You pervert. You're a pervert. John, I'm going home. I cannot babysit me. I need to go home. You are using me right now. Another girl, he's sleeping next to me. You're a loser. So.
We all remember hearing those voicemails in trial number 1. Oh, they're coming into trial number 2 as well. The question is when? When might be a key time to play them? Could it be after Jennifer McCabe's testimony? Let's bring in a very seasoned lawyer, criminal defense attorney in the private sector, now formerly a prosecutor, Joe Tamburino. Joe's going to be with us in the next hour, too. I can't wait. Joe, so tell me, if it were you in the position of Hank Brennan, what time would you put these into the trial?
I think I would put those in toward the end of the trial, and I don't know who else Mr. Brennan is going to be calling, but Mr. Brennan has done a masterful job at using Karen Reed's statements. And Karen Reed is the perfect example of why don't let your client talk to the press. Do not give interviews. I don't know, maybe since trial number 1, the defense team thought, well, there's probably not going to be trial number 2. They would win on some appeal, whatever it is. And then she started giving these interviews. But, you know, really what Mr. Brennan is doing is boxing her in by saying, I'm going to be playing all these little clips of you, and the only way you're going to get out of this corner is for you to testify and explain all of this. Done a great job with it.
Right. Joe, such a great point. Do you think she will testify? Because we know she loves to talk to the cameras and things that she can control, you know, to a degree. Interviews and things, the sit-downs. At one point she said, this is my testimony. Do you think that she'll actually have the guts to go under oath, under penalty of perjury, and say some of the wild things she's been saying outside of the courthouse?
I think it's unlikely, but I should say it this way. I still think it's unlikely, but there's more of a chance in this trial than there was in trial number 1. In trial number 1, yeah, I mean, we all pretty much knew that she wasn't going to testify. But in trial number 2, you know, the prosecution has done such a good job at manipulating, and I mean that in a positive way, the scene with all of her varied statements about all different things. He's done so well at that really he has boxed her in. So if she or the defense want to explain her statements to the press, her interviews, how it's not a confession, you know, she was just talking about different things, the only way they could do that is to put her on the stand.
Joe, you're spot on. I've got one of those clips that they introduced. This is from her Dateline interview. Let's watch.
I mean, I didn't think I hit him, but could I have clipped him? Could I have tagged him in the knee and incapacitated him? He didn't look mortally wounded as far as I could see, but could I have done something that knocked him out and in drunkenness and in the cold didn't come to again?
And this would have been the moment you dropped him off at the party.
Yeah, would have had to.
Joe, what'd you think of that one?
It's not good. I mean, the thing about it is when you are a defendant and you're going to trial, you don't give statements. I mean, you really don't. Unless, you know, you have some rock solid, rock star defense, and perhaps you give one statement, but you know full well that that's a statement you will live with throughout the trial and you have no doubts about it. Otherwise, you're just playing with fire.
You're so right. You're so right, Joe. You know, and we know that she has very seasoned lawyers, and she's got a lot of them. I've lost count at this point. Personally, I think the tail's wagging the dog here for a lot of this case. I think she's dictating a lot of what they're doing, and I think probably very insistent on making those statements. But who knows? I'm curious what you see when you look at her and you see her behavior throughout the trial as her attorneys are working and she's sitting there trying to look busy throughout the case. Do you think she's involved in telling them what to do? Do you think she's bossing them around?
Yes, I do think she's very involved. You know, and that's the problem with some clients. You know, I would say for the most part, at least in my 36-year career, most clients, you know, let you steer the ship. Of course, you consult with them all the time. You tell them the positive and negatives of every, you know, major move you're going to make. But every once in a while, you get a client who thinks they are the captain of the ship and they're going to steer the direction and you have to follow and execute their orders. That's a very difficult client to deal with because throughout the whole proceedings, they're always thinking they are smarter than you, even though you have all these decades of experience and have, you know, 100 or something trials under your belt.
Right, Joe. I think that's what we have here. Stand by, my friend, please. You're coming with us for our 9 a.m. Court TV live hour. I can't wait to get into this courtroom. The testimony will resume in the case against defendant Karen Reed. And if you liked opening statements, you can watch it again. You can share the episode. Go to courttv.com. We put all the episodes up for you every weekday morning. Live look as we go to break.